We're now going to answer this past exam question. It is taken from VCAA 2019, paper 1, question 7. A small shopping centre has 2 coffee shops, Fatima's and Giorgio's, and the percentage of coffee buys at each shop changes from day to day, as shown in the transition matrix T below. So as you can see here, if you've gone to Fatima's today, well, 85% of people will then go to Fatima's tomorrow, when 15 will go to Giorgio's tomorrow. Is that George? I don't know how to say that. On a particular Monday, 40% of coffee buyers bought their coffees at Fatima. 40%. Okay. So that means what we can get from that is our initial state. So immediately, because they've told us that, that means that our initial state, S of 0, is going to be, now Fatima has to go on top, and then Giorgio, 0.60, there. And that's because FG, that has to be F, that has to be G there. So that is our initial state there. Okay, let's keep on reading. It says the matrix equation, this is used to model this situation. So we've seen this before. You take your transition matrix, you raise it to the power of n for the number of transition you want, and you multiply it by your initial state, and that will give you the amount of people in each shop. In the long term, so when it says in the long term, this is code. So let's just kind of write here. What this means is find the steady state. Find the steady state. So they're not going to they might not come out and just say it, but you need to kind of read the language. As it says, like in the long term or after, a extended period of time, it might be after that steady state. We need to find the percentage of coffee buyers who are expected to buy their coffee at Giorgio's. Okay, so the way that you do this is you check the values of S is 50 and S51. And if they're equal to each other, then the steady state has been reached, and this will give the eventual numbers of customers at each shop. Okay, so let's now do this. So what we're going to do here is, as you can see here, I've got, I'm finding S of 50, so I've taken T, I've raised it to the 50th power, times it by S of 0. So I'm going to come over here and let's now do this. So I might just give myself a bit more room here. We've got S of 50 is equal to, now my transition matrix was 0.85, 0.15, 0.35, and 0.65. I'm going to raise that to the power of 50 and times it by my initial matrix, which was 0.4 and 0.6. I've already typed in my transition matrix here because I'm lazy, and I'm going to raise that to the power of 50, and then I'm going to multiply that by, get this, 0.4 and 0.6. Okay, then we've got that, we hit enter, and that means what I'm going to get here, so for S of 50, it's going to end up being 70% are at Fatima's and 30% are at Giorgio's. And remember, this is Fatima, this is Giorgio's. We come over here, we go S of 51. Let's find out how many are here. So reason why we're going one up is we want to see if this remains the same. And if it is the same, that means we've hit the steady state here. So we want to type in the same thing again. So 0.85, 0.15, 0.35, and 0.65. Then we want to raise this to the power of 51 this time, and then multiply it by our initial state, which was 0.4 and 0.6. And let's now see if we get the same result out. So we come back to our CAS. We come up here. I'm now just going to change this to 51. And sure enough, we get the same numbers out there, which means the steady state has been reached. That means 70% of people are going to end up going to Fatima's, and 30% of people are going to end up going to Giorgio's. So that means this is F, this is G. Okay, so that means we'll do a bit of a concluding sentence here. And our concluding sentence is going to be something along the lines of, therefore, because S of 50 is equal to S of 51, what we can say is that so steady state matrix is 0.7, 0.3, in which this is Fatima, this is Giorgio's. So if the final answer would be like, find the percentage of coffee buyers who are expected to buy from Giorgio's, it would be 30%. So the answer to this would be 30%. But it's more important that you kind of understand the process there of how we've gone about it. So hopefully you found this helpful.